my name is Robert Elaine and I'm the founder of the Dog Owners Club. In this video I'm going to be talking to you about a very important subject, which is socialisation. We're all told about the importance of socialising our puppy, but nobody really tells us how we're supposed to do that. What is good socialisation? What is bad socialisation? Should I be socialising them at all? And if so, where should I be doing that? Nobody really tells us that. They just tell us we need to get it done. So what we do is we assume what socialising probably means and we have a go. But I'm often asked by people, why is it my dog is so hostile towards this stimulus or that stimulus when he was so well socialised as a puppy? Why is it he's so fearful of other dogs? I socialised him all the time as a puppy. Why is he nervous of children when we took him to the school to socialise with all the children when he was a puppy? And I think that perhaps where the problem lies is that nobody really makes it clear to us when we're going into that what's socialisation and what may be overexposure. And there is a difference. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So I bring home my puppy, and when I bring my puppy home, at that point, the only dogs he's ever met are other puppies of the same breed. So he's met his mother and he's met his siblings. So if he were a Cocker Spaniel puppy, as far as he knows, the only dogs in the world are those Cocker Spaniels. But then I'm told I must socialise him. It's very important that he gets socialised. So I think, where am I going to do that? My vet's running puppy socialisation classes. I'll take him along there. Now, the first thing to note is unless your vet or the vet nurses have privately chosen to go on and study puppy socialisation, which is not covered in their medical course, they may not know how to socialise a puppy. And certainly I've seen some of these classes that are run in ways that are less than efficient because the vet or the vet nurse also thinks, just put a load of puppies together. So I went and saw one a few years ago. It was awful. There was just a mixture of puppies all running around just beating other puppies up. This is not socialisation. There was a little miniature Schnauzer puppy, for example, that was hiding under the owner's chair, and every time another puppy came near it, it would fly out snapping and snarling. The vet explained to me that this was their 4th week of 4 and how much she'd improved over the time because 4 weeks ago she wouldn't come out from under the chair. He saw this as progress because now she will fly out snapping and snarling at the other puppies. She was only 12 weeks old, and my concern is, what's she going to be like with other dogs by the time she's adult? The first time she met a Cocker Spaniel puppy, it was pinning her to the floor. Then she met a Jack Russell, he was pinning her to the floor. Can you imagine what her early experiences are of other dogs? She says they're terrifying. Anything that doesn't look like a Schnauzer is really, really scary. There was a little Shar-Pei puppy who actually needed medical attention at the end of the session because so many of the puppies had been playing tug with his face that he was covered in bite marks. And the owners, I could see them flinching and the vet saying, it's all right, they're just socialising, it's important socialisation. And you think, really? Would I ever take my child somewhere to socialise, watch it being physically injured by other children and just sit by because they were socialising? We'd be horrified. And again, I look at that Shar-Pei puppy and I think, what will he be like with other dogs when he's grown up? These are his first encounters with other dogs and he's only a matter of weeks old. Why would we be surprised if after 4 weeks of this, he's got an issue with other dogs? There were 2 little terrier Staffy puppies that were just ripping chunks out of each other. And if you look at terriers playing, they don't really play like any other breed of dogs or group of dogs. They're usually pretty rough. And they were allowed to just practice beating each other up, and they would periodically have to be separated, and then they would go charging back and start again. They weren't interested in any other puppies, just beating each other up. This is like a gladiatorial arena for dogs. This is a place where you go to make your puppy much more aggressive towards other dogs. But this was seen as socialisation. Well, this isn't socialisation at all. For me, when I'm socialising my dog with other dogs, it's literally a meet and greet. I want him to come along, meet your dog, you sniff my bum, I sniff your bum, nice to have met you, on we go. That to me is social. If I meet you on the street and I say, hello, Jane, how are you? You say, fine, thanks. I say, how's the family? You say, lovely. Great, that was social. If I come up and say, hi, Jane, grab you and wrestle you to the floor, you're probably not going to think we're socialising. You're probably going to call the police and say there's something psychologically wrong with me. Why do we think this is any different for dogs? And I think this emphasis on socialising is one of the reasons why we've seen such a huge increase in aggression in dogs. Is because we're not socialising them at all. We're just overexposing them. So we want our child to be good with children, so we take him on the school run. He's only 10, 12 weeks old. He can't even go on the floor yet, but he has 50 children at a time clamouring to stroke him, all these hands coming into his face. Why would we think this is social? And then that dog as an adult has a real issue with children. He wasn't socialised. Imagine how you would feel if you had 50 different people that you didn't know all trying to touch you at the same time. You would never consider that social, but that's what we do. So then we take them on to the next stage from our puppy socialisation class, which is the dog training class. And of course, it's complete bedlam. There's puppies and dogs barking and jumping. And when you bring your puppy in for the first time, it's often a really traumatic experience. He's never been in a place like this where there are all these different breeds barking and charging around, again, having those periods of free play where they just jump on each other. So again, these dogs aren't being socialised at all. They're just being beaten up again. They go through their early months just being beaten up by a succession of other dogs. We take them to the park. Most of the dogs they meet won't be puppies. They'll be big adult dogs who play really roughly with them. And we're told to leave them alone. They're just socialising. And you'll often see your puppy come around and hide behind the back of your feet. And you're told to move out of the way so that it can socialise. And what it's really learning is you won't protect it. There's no point in running to you because you won't help it. And maybe by only 4 or 5 months old, your puppy has already learned that it can't rely on you to protect it. So if your puppy comes to you and says, I'm not really sure about this, either make the other dog go away, or if necessary, and only if necessary, pick your puppy up. So if you come to me and say you're not comfortable with this, I will support you. There's a psychological thing we have where we're so worried about offending this stranger that we won't defend our puppy. And my puppy is much more important to me than any stranger. So at that point, I'm going to say, excuse me, can you call your dog away, please? He's being a bit too rough. The stranger will almost certainly say, oh yeah, he's just playing. He just wants to be friendly. And I say, no, I don't care what he wants to do. He's got my puppy pinned to the floor and my puppy's really unhappy. So can you take your puppy away, please, before mine gets too frightened? So protect your puppy. If it shows any apprehension, that's the time to move on. Make sure that all of those interactions are social. When you take it around children who will always want to come up and crowd around it and start fussing it, make sure they do it one at a time and only in ways that are comfortable for that puppy. Have them bring their hand under rather than over the top of its head, which tends to make it shrink back, and only one at a time. And then when that one's finished, maybe the next one moves on. If you're not sure about the age or the abilities of the child, say no. You don't have to let strangers stroke your puppy if you're not happy with them to do so. And remember, if I came up to you on the street with your child and said, what a beautiful little girl, can I touch her? You would probably have no concerns about telling me that I couldn't do that. Why don't we do the same with our puppy? So if you don't think this is going to be an appropriate interaction, then say no. Protect your puppy. You also want to expose it to lots and lots of different sounds and things that it hasn't seen before, but again in a way that's comfortable for it. So if you've got a very young puppy who maybe can't go out yet or be put down on the floor, there are lots of apps that you can download onto your smartphone where you can play the sounds of traffic and thunderstorms and fireworks and all those sorts of things they're going to hear all the time. But you're gradually desensitizing the puppy to them by playing them at a low volume in the background, so the puppy is already getting used to those sounds, so that by the time you take it out, it's already less intimidated because it's heard them 1,000 times before. And breeders should be doing this with the puppies right from the moment they're born. Because although a lot of puppies are bred out in the countryside where there's less noise nuisance to neighbours, most of them get sold into urban areas and they'll suddenly hear traffic noise and so on that they've never heard before. So breeders, if you're out in the countryside where your puppies are not hearing those things, you should be playing them to them and exposing them all the time. Okay, as I say, it's a very contentious subject, but it's certainly one that you need to consider because you're going to have to live with this dog for the rest of its life, hopefully. And if you don't put that work in as a puppy, you're going to have problems later on. The period for exposing them to new stimuli is about the first 12 weeks, and after 12 weeks, that door is shut. If you haven't adequately exposed it to enough new things, you're going to have some problems with it later. So make sure you get some really good advice on how to socialize your puppy as effectively as possible so you get the dog that you want. Well, that's me concluded for now. If you like that video, please click like, and if you'd like to subscribe, press the little written bell button next to the subscribe channel, which will inform you when I bring out any new videos, which I will be doing in the near future. Thank you very much.